Hey everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you're all doing well out there. I'm going to try to do this video without seeming pissed off or annoyed. I don't know that I've done this in years. I shot the video and I was doing things real quick because I've got some errands to go run, and I guess I was going through my iPhone too fast and I had put it into iMovie, and I usually get rid of the one version. Boom, I erased it. So I'm having to start over again, which that's okay. We'll see how close I come to the first one. I want to talk about raw food diet or cooked vegan food today. Guys, I do videos every day, so if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go down there now and hit that red subscribe button, then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. Yeah, that was an annoying one. I was like, fuck, is there any way to get this thing back? And I saw some little geek tricks online, but it's gone. It's gone. It's not in the cloud. It's nowhere else, but that's okay. That's all right. So, raw food diet or cooked vegan food? Yes, to both of them. You know, listen, I got a lot of people that are starting to migrate over here from Instagram. So I have people asking me questions, you know, things that I've been asked before a lot of times on this channel, but this just seems to be the main one. Everybody's always, you know, raw versus cooked, raw versus cooked. And I really wish the atmosphere wasn't like that. I wish people didn't make those videos to make it like an us versus them or a good versus bad type thing, because I eat mostly raw foods, but I'm about doing the best version of what, like I'm always about making the best choices. It's not about cooked, it's not about raw, it's about making the best choices in your circumstances, where you are on your journey, and just basically practical, knowing yourself, you know. So when we first come to this lifestyle, I want to just kind of like right now, I'll state this will be my philosophy forever here on out. I'm all about a whole food, plant-based diet, SOS. That means sugar, oil, and salt free. You know, when I say sugar, I'm talking about processed sugar, added sugar. Now, once again, you know, everybody's, you know, I'm not saying you're never going to touch any of that stuff again. I don't eat oil, but I still will use some oil on the rare occasion when I feel like it. I put a little Himalayan salt every once in a while, but in general, I don't eat those things. I mean, the salt shaker hardly ever, it's always usually just a certain recipe that I want a little bit extra oomph in there. But always make the best decisions on your journey. There's a lot of people doing these challenges. There's a lot of people, I think January, I forget what it's called, Veganuary or something like that. Everything's got a trendy, cutesy little name. If us older people, I don't like cutesy. But it is a good thing that people are at least trying the lifestyle, the diet out for a month. What I'm hoping is that some of the people that are trying it out will watch videos, will educate themselves, and will actually stay on a plant-based diet. And when those people come in that are just, you know, looking at that, I don't want them to see a bunch of crazy-ass raw vegans chanting and, you know, oh, raw is law, this and that. Once again, let me repeat my mantra. Make the best choices available. Or, you know, always make the best choices that you can. So when you come to this lifestyle, don't worry about the cooked versus raw. But, now let me do a little bit of a flip around there. I totally advocate a raw food diet. When I came to this lifestyle, it was kind of, there was no like coming to vegan or coming to plant-based and then and then becoming raw. I heard about it all at once. I went high raw from the very beginning. But I was living down in the tropics at the time, Costa Rica. Now, one thing that I would say on this cooked versus raw issue, and this is not like a strong opinion, or I always say, hey, I just still want you to make plant-based choices, but at least, you know, incorporate as much raw food as possible into your day-to-day. And I highly recommend, look, I see on Instagram a lot people eating their oatmeal and their pancakes that are plant-based for breakfast. And I'm not throwing any of that under the bus. But if you got to have oats, oatmeal, whatever, maybe even have that for lunch. I'm really big on breakfast, breaking the fast, coming with fruit. You know, I think tomorrow, even if I for some reason said, you know what, I'm gonna probably I'm gonna probably start eating cooked food every day on a regular basis. I think I would always, unless there just was, I was somewhere where there were no choices, always going to stick to fruit in the morning because it's that light, you know, it's easing into the day. So I would highly recommend to you that if you're, you know, if you're doing a plant-based diet, gone vegan, to at least make that breakfast, you know, make that breakfast raw. I mean, I can't even imagine anything else now after all this time than either eating some fruit, making a smoothie, having some juice, or having some ice cream for breakfast. But it's always got to be, for me, fruit in the morning. And usually I like to work my way up. The lighter, the better. If I can start with juice, that's great. If I can start with juice, go to something higher water content like juice, then to mangoes, that's great. So if you're new to this lifestyle, I would just say do this. Always try to make the best choices, but try to incorporate as much raw food as possible. I think what you'll probably find is when you take the pressure off yourself of all this, oh, I'm a raw vegan, or I'm a raw foodist, or I've got to do 100% raw. I think when you take that pressure off yourself and just say, okay, I'm just going to eat as much fruit as I want to during the day, I think you'll probably find yourself eating more and more fruit, and you'll probably find yourself eating more and more raw. Because look, this is not that hard. You know, I like to think back, and once again, I'm going back to when I lived in this little beach town in Costa Rica. That's where I lived the bulk of the time that I was in Costa Rica. I was down in Costa Rica about 18 years, and I would say 15 and a half of that lived in a little beach town on the Central Pacific, and it was hot all the time. And I know I'm repeating myself to people that have watched for a while, but even back in the day when I was a drunk, even back in the day when I was a drunk that was barbecuing smoking meat to make barbecue, when I was sucking down, you know, at least 3 or 4 dozen wings in the sports bar on the weekend, I still ate a lot of raw food. I still ate a lot of fruit. You know, I was in Costa Rica. You know, it wasn't like I just all of a sudden when I came to this lifestyle, that's the first time I ever ate fruit. I mean, I had a little more sense than that. Ate fruit a good bit down there. In fact, that was kind of like to appease the healthier people. There was always a fruit bowl on the menu there. Now, back in the day, and I was eating, of course, I was eating dairy back then, didn't know about dairy. It would be, I'd go a lot for a big fruit bowl in the morning. They'd put yogurt in it, and they'd put a little bit of granola on the top. But I ate a lot of fruit. I had a lot of smoothies. And down there, I had a lot of natural smoothies. It's not like here with your Smoothie King or whatever that most of the smoothie places you go to are, you know, these syrups and this artificial stuff. Down there, it's the straight stuff. They put fruit in the blender, they put ice in the blender, boom. There you go. So even before this lifestyle, you know, because of the heat, a lot of it had to do with the heat down there. You didn't want, you know, you didn't have to be a raw foodist to be like, okay, number one, it's hot as hell. You feel lighter when you're eating that fruit. You know, when it's temperatures like that, you don't feel like heating up your house. You don't feel like heating up your body. So even if you're new to, I get the point that I'm getting at with this, even if you're new to this lifestyle, you could eat a meal a day raw. You could eat a couple of meals a day raw, but just start trying to work as much raw food in there. And I think the psychology of not putting so much pressure on yourself will probably help you get there. But in the end, it's always, I just don't understand when people will sacrifice and make lesser choices. And lesser to me, I mean, I guess that's a matter of opinion, because for the raw, the super raw, the true believers out there, raw is above everything. High fat raw is above everything. If you go above that magic 112 degrees. See, I'm a bad raw vegan. I don't even know the holy number of our lot. But if you go above that 112, 118, whatever the hell it is, they actually think that's worse than probably, you know, I watch some of these raw vegan YouTubers they'll do their little recipe, and they'll pour this much freaking cashews into the bottom of a Vitamix, and they eat that themselves. Sorry. Raw is not raw. You're not going to tell me that something that's got just ungodly amounts of fat is better for you than a steamed sweet potato. Use a little common sense there. So always make the best choices. Don't be so fanatic about this raw versus cooked. You know, a lot of times I think that's just to be part of the group. You know, I can be raw. I got to do this. I got to do this. But this is our body, you know. It's not about competing. It's not about doing any sort of a special diet or whatever. It's just like basically, like I say, and I'm repeating myself over and over, I kind of want to get that stuck in your head subliminally, is making the best choices. Do that every time you start to, you know, that would help you a lot. Every time you start to put a piece of food in your mouth, am I making the best choice possible here? You know, am I, okay, this is raw, but I'm eating an avocado and, you know, maybe a quarter of a cup of cashews in this. You know, it's funny, I keep bringing up nuts here. People always constantly ask me about nuts. I don't really have that much thoughts on it. I guess they think I avoid them because I talk. I don't avoid nuts because I think, oh God, they're bad, they're too high fat. I just kind of eventually, I let the nuts, the desire for the nuts went away a few years ago. I used to entertain it. You know, I've never held back. You know, I've like had this covenant with my body. My body doesn't ask for too bad, so I always give it what it needs. When I was about 2.5, 3 years ago, when I was living in that house in Hakko on the beach, yeah, I would have a night where I knew I was going to just chill out and watch these movies on Netflix, and I felt like almonds, or I felt like cashews, or I felt like pistachios. I'd get a bag, and I'd eat way too many. But I didn't care. I didn't care because it was a one-time thing. I didn't keep nuts around the house. I would buy what I was going to eat. But as time went on, I started noticing I didn't do that. I wasn't like saying, okay, I'm going to hold out or I'm going to try to cut back on nuts. As I got cleaner, my desire just kind of went away. So I still use them. I still use them every once in a while. I'll put them in a dressing. Every once in a while, I'll get a taste. I want some pistachios. But I got some pistachios in the kitchen right now, and I've had them for about 2 months and ate a few of them when I got them. Or no, I put them in ice cream. Haven't touched them since. So that's just like where my evolution is going. I just don't get that desire for nuts all that much. But like I say, it's not raw versus cooked. It's just making the best choices. Plant-based, vegan. Stop obsessing over the raw. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.